Welcome! In this explainer, we are going to get you totally comfortable with reported speech. It's something you use all the time. Anytime you want to tell someone what another person said, like sharing a story from a friend or some news you just heard. So let's jump right in.
Okay, here's our game plan. We're going to start by listening to a quick conversation. Then we'll figure out what reported speech actually is, learn the number one most important rule, and then we'll cover a few other key details, like how to handle questions and commands. Sound good? Let's do it.
The best way to understand how this works is to just see it in action. So let's start by listening in on a conversation between two students who are talking about some problems with their school's website.
Did you hear the announcement on the school's website? So, the first person kicks things off with a pretty straightforward question.
Yes, the IT team said the computer system wasn't working yesterday. And boom, right away, there's our first example. The second person is reporting what they heard. And notice that key phrase, the IT team said.
I saw their message too. They said they had updated the software and fixed the problem. Now the first person chimes in, also reporting something they saw in a message. Again, see that? They said,
my classmate told me the same thing. She said she couldn't log in because her password wasn't accepted. Now they're bringing in information from someone else entirely, a classmate. They use she said to pass along what that person's problem was.
He also said the update would improve the website's performance. And the conversation wraps up with one last bit of reported info. This little chat is just packed with examples of what we're about to break down.
Okay, so what exactly were those two speakers doing? Let's put a name to it and really define the skill they were using.
They were using reported speech. And honestly, it's that simple. It's just when you tell someone what another person said. We literally do this all the time when we're talking about news, messages, or, a post we just saw on social media.
All right, so how do we actually do this correctly? Well, there's one main rule that is the key to, everything. Let's call it the one-step back rule. This is a big one. Okay, let's look at that example from our conversation. The original, direct words were in the present tense. The system isn't working. But when we report it later, the verb moves one step back into the past. Wasn't working. See that? That's the rule. The verb tense just takes one simple step back in time.
And check this out. This one-step back rule works for pretty much all the main tenses. Present simple, it becomes past simple. Past simple, it takes another step back to past perfect. Even words like will and can follow the rule. Will becomes would, and can becomes good. It's a really consistent pattern, which is great news for us.
Okay, so that's how we report regular statements. But what happens when we're reporting a question, or when someone tells us to do something? The rules are just a little bit different here.
But first, a super quick but really important point on the verbs we use. Remember this, you use tell with a person. So you say, he told me, or she told the class. If you don't actually mention who was told, you use say. So he said he was tired. This is such a common mistake, so definitely watch out for it.
Right, so when we report a yes or no question, our magic word is if. That's the first thing. The other key change is the word order. It flips back to a normal sentence, not a question format. So do you use becomes if I used. No more question structure. And for questions that start with words like where, what, or when, it's actually pretty similar. We keep that question word, the where or what, but again, we change the word order back to a normal statement. Notice how is the file flips to become the file was. The verb moves to the end.
You know what? Reporting commands might be the easiest one of all. We don't even have to worry about changing the tense. We just use the structure told someone to do something. And for negative commands, it's just told someone not to do something. Super simple.
We are almost there. To really get this down perfectly, let's just cover a couple of final small changes you need to make for things like pronouns, time, and place.
This part really just makes sense, right? When you report what someone else said, the pronouns obviously have to change. I becomes he or she. My becomes his or her. And because you're usually talking about it later, time and place words also need to shift back. Today becomes that day, and here becomes there.
So let's do a quick recap. Here are the 4 main things to remember. Number 1, backshift. Move that verb tense one step back. 2, remember the difference between say and tell. Use told with a person. 3, For questions, flip them back into a normal sentence structure. And finally, number 4, for commands, just use to plus the verb.
And that's pretty much the whole shebang. Now you've got the tools to report conversations clearly and correctly. So, I've got a little challenge for you. Think about a conversation you had today. How would you report it using these rules? Go on, give it a try.